Hello, my name is Philip Joel Niati Mensah. I'm originally from the country of Ghana. I moved to the United States in September of 2004. I have been schooling in the Montpelier Public School system since then, and I even graduated out of Montpelier High School in 2012. I am involved in many activities. I enjoy playing soccer, I enjoy performing and showcasing my musical talents, especially in percussion. I also enjoy hiking, swimming, and just having a good time with people of various backgrounds. When I moved to the States, communication was very important in establishing my relationships and also important in my success in my education. Many might find it truly difficult to understand how a young Ghanaian boy at the age of 10 could effectively communicate with Americans. When you realize how different English styles can be across the world, you really begin to fully grasp the difficulty that I faced in completely understanding what other people were communicating with me. First of all, the English here has, a lot of euphemisms and cliches and different spellings that the English in Ghana didn't have. Just a little bit of history of Ghana. We were colonized by the British until we gained our independence back in the 50s. It was actually a peaceful independence that didn't involve much bloodshed, but of course there was some political drama associated with that. That's why I'm not gonna exclude the word bloodshed. But anyways, we have a British form of English, and not only that, we have many various languages that aids in our communication. And our cultural style of communication differs from the American cultural style of communication. Um, in Ghana, students are trained to know how to actively communicate and know how to actively listen. We can't, sit down in class and just start talking when the teacher's talking because we can get disciplined for that, either with a cane or with a machete in the fields, as in we will be weeding for the rest of the day if you slip up and are disrespectful, because that's seen as an act of disrespect. But here, um, you know, students can say, "Oh well, I have ADD. I really did not mean to interrupt my teacher," which is all right and laid back. But when you try the same approach here as we have in Ghana, you can be sued for child abuse. So some of the things that were very difficult for me to grasp was the euphemisms and cliches and American spellings. For example, in Ghana, I can be commanded to sit down or stand up, but in America, I had to adapt to terms such as have a seat, or do you want to go to the bathroom? Usually, I'd ask if I can go. Um, you know, we had a different way of speaking. I'd ask the teacher, "Hey, can I go use the toilets?" Is how you'd ask. We never quite said bathroom, but that became more um, known to us through media and television of how Americans kind of spoke. But I had a difficult time understanding such terms until I kind of got used to the its auxiliary messages that it send, and I just look around me to what everybody was doing and kind of assume that that is what the teacher was trying to communicate. And eventually, with much reading and paying attention and focusing to these auxiliary messages, I was able to understand that, hey, if the teacher's pointing down at the chair, it means you can sit down and not just grab the chair and go home with it. Which is kind of silly for an American to think, oh yeah, have a chair, have a seat, yeah, of course, take the seat and run off with it. No, but in Africa, schools can be in the jungle where a student might have to walk 3 to 5 kilometers with their own chair. So when the teacher does say have a seat, the teacher could have free chairs for you to take home. So it's not quite as simple as you think in your terms. So furthermore, I also had to adapt to many cultural paradigms, and most of which centered around folklore, religion, and sports and social meanings. Our language called Ga, which is my traditional language in Ghana, is very arbitrary. There's certain signs and symbolic meanings all around you that mean a specific thing. For an example, if there is an outdooring, you will see a woman wearing an all-white attire with certain tribal meanings on it. Usually you see the Jinyami and the Son of Beauty. You can usually have a sense that this is a female type gathering, and you can definitely understand that this is an outdooring going on. Those signs represents a sign of God's supremacy and a sign of beauty, which goes well with an outdooring. Or if there's a funeral, people wear black and red, and you can know that there's a funeral going on. Rather than asking, oh, who died, you just kind of silently know what's going on with that person, and you extend your condolences to the family. Another thing that I had to shift my attention to was double speaking, and there was a lot of double speaking in the communication, and since my international background was of a Ghanaian, a lot of the words that we have were more straightforward and more easier to understand. So, for an example, one of my classmates asked me, why would you want to downsize from a nice tropical place where there's coconut trees, mangoes, beaches, all the wild animals, to such a place of Vermont where it's cold, and the summers are short and the falls are even cold too. And but me, I was kind of like, wow, I see this as a huge opportunity. So I viewed it as them being sort of um, as them not being grateful for what they had. And I could I really I was really glad to be here because it was a bigger opportunity for me to expand my knowledge in school. And not only that, but it was a big opportunity for me to expand my cultural knowledges too, and learn about other cultures and know how to adapt in different situations. So I took this as a gift rather than as a downsizing. So I was a bit confused when I was spoken to in those terms, because of course everybody wishes they had $5 grand laying around and they could just run over to West Africa or the West Indies or South America and enjoy wonderful weather. They see that as an upgrade, but from a third world country's point of view, you see coming to a place of such coldness as an upgrade, because there is a higher currency. Not only that, there's way more job opportunities, and you can work certain jobs that when you would have worked back home, you would not have gotten the same amount of money. So this opportunity to be in the United States is a great opportunity for me, and I really, really appreciated it. So the word downsizing was double speaking as I began to understand. And yes, so also with active listening, I I learned to appreciate some of the things that Ghana had done for me, that I realized that a lot of the American students didn't have, which was obviously active listening, and how to speak well when you were in a different settings than being around from your friends. Because a lot of American students, when they're talking to the teachers, they would not look at the teachers in the eyes. They would be like this or like this, or rolling their eyes or not quite caring. But me, I was it was really enforced into our heads how to be respectful when you're talking to an adult. So I always had eyes on the adults. I'd usually wait a couple of minutes. Sorry, not a couple of minutes. I usually wait a couple of seconds in between what they would say before I'd say something, and I'd learn to not interrupt an adult speaking because I was kind of mentally conditioned that way. It's kind of comparable to a Catholic school where the nun can have a paddle, and if the child is out of line, he can get paddled. And if you're not quite perfect in the schools that I went to, you could get paddled. But that, although it was a bit of a painful experience, helped me become a very successful person. For an example, I was on a trip in Seacoast where I just won a huge tournament, soccer tournaments, playing all these really, really, really good soccer teams, and I was playing defense, and I didn't sit down once. I played the whole match, all the matches, and I even saved last-minute goals, and I didn't realize who was watching me, but some of the people that were watching me knew Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett is a really wealthy man. Like, I mean, they didn't just know of Warren Buffett. They could be like, hey, this is literally my friend. Like, I talked to this man on the phone mad times. I talked to them on the phone a lot, and so I didn't know that. But when I was speaking to them, I would actively speak to them and actively listen, and I had a very, very, very humble approach to speaking to them. I would have eye contact with them. I would wait a couple of seconds before I'd say something, and I wouldn't speak with slang. I'd speak with proper English, proper pronunciation, and I would know how to communicate effectively without giving off any signs of disrespect or disobedience, since it was of the older generation. But I still had respect for the older generation, obviously because of how I'm conditioned. And because of that, I was able to land an internship at New England Excess Exchange that lasted for 4 years, where I'd go every summer and learn many skills in marketing. And through that, I was able to bring them millions of dollars of revenue, since they were able to branch out their business, and they learnt that there were many more companies that they could make business with, all because I spent hours making up an email database and phone lists of all these insurance agencies that were scattered around New England. And to this day, they've actually expanded and they've become a bigger company. But yes, if it hadn't been for my active listening skills and my communication skills, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity, although I didn't quite know who I was talking to. So my advice to anybody who's communicating, either it is to an old person, a young person, a friend, someone of an international background, is to be very straightforward, and it's to please avoid double speaking, please avoid paradigms and cliches, euphemisms, and jargon. Just be completely simple and straightforward. It will help people of the foreign audience especially understand what you are communicating, rather than the audience forming a false perception of what you are communicating. Because the English language is very, very, very challenging. Thank you very much, and have a great day. And also, please feel free to conversate with me and post videos and ask me any more questions about my cultural experiences here, and any of that. I am open to answer any type of questions.